Tired of being this guy? Newbie here, Scout Sniper Airsoft. Today in this video, I'm going to take you to the shop and I'm going to show you how to fix a gas blowback mag. First off, it's going to be a 1911 style, but they're all pretty much the same. They have the same functionality. Some have pins you need to pop out, some have screws that you need to thread in. For the most part, it's all the same. I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on how to make your gas blowback mag seals last longer and how to fix them if you potentially have a leaky magazine issue.
To start out, your mag's going to leak from either the bottom of the magazine or the top of the magazine. Top of the magazine is pretty self-explanatory. What I'm showing you here is a way to detect where the leak actually is from the bottom of the magazine to determine whether or not you need to replace the valve or if you just need to replace the seal on the O-ring. It's hard to tell from the video, but if you put gas in the mag and you can hear it leaking and then you put it in water, you can actually see where the bubbles are coming from. This will tell you whether or not it's a bad valve or not. First, I'm going to show you how to go ahead and replace the O-ring or the seals within the mag. First step, remove the bottom plate from the magazine. Next, remove the Allen screw from the bottom plate of the magazine. Some magazines will be pressure fit, and on the sides of them they'll have a pressure pin in there that you'll just need to knock out with a small Allen and something to hit it with. Remove the bottom piece, the BB guide spring, and this little black piece at the bottom. Remember which way it went in because it's kind of important. It goes back in the way it comes out. Here's the main O-ring that usually leaks. You'll want to go ahead and remove it. I know it looks square at first, but it's actually, you can replace it with a round style O-ring. Now, I've had quite a few magazines that leak because of this O-ring here. But it's not always a bad O-ring. Sometimes they just dry out and shrink up, and then there's no longer a good seal. On this magazine here, instead of replacing the whole O-ring, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lube up the O-ring with some oil to get it nice and lubricated. Next, I'm going to take some white lithium grease and spread it around the outside of the O-ring once I put it back on the cap. And then I'm going to go ahead and seal it back up and see if that fixed my leaky problem. I personally don't do it, but I've seen it mentioned that another way you can help seal up these mags is on this this long screw that goes in the base plate. You can go ahead and wrap some Teflon tape around the threads and then put some white lithium grease on it as well, and some of the blue Loctite to hold it in place. This will give you a good seal, provided you have any leaks coming from there. Now I'll go ahead and check to see if I need to actually replace the O-ring or if it was just a dried up O-ring. I'll add some gas to it and see if I can hear or detect a leak. And sure enough, this O-ring did not need to be replaced, it was just dry. Should you need to actually replace the O-ring, use an 18mm by 2mm O-ring. I purchased my O-rings from O-Rings USA. These will work on both a KJW 1911 mag as well as a Tokyo Marui magazine. If your magazine is actually leaking from the fill valve on the bottom, they're pretty easy to replace. Usually whenever I have a leak from the fill valve, I'll just go ahead and buy a new one and put in a brand new one. To remove it, you can use either a really awesome tool that you can buy for around $10 or $15 that helps you remove or work on any of the gas blowback magazines, or you can use a small screwdriver. After unthreading the valve, go ahead and check the O-ring. I don't have an actual O-ring size for these. They're kind of small, so go ahead and lube it up as I showed you before. Wrap some Teflon tape around the threads, and then put some white lithium grease on it as well. Usually if you have a leaky valve, this will fix it. Sometimes the valve is broken beyond repair, and you'll need to go ahead and just buy a new one. The top end is pretty self-explanatory, and there's not too many things you can do to solve it. Usually once these things leak, it's because the plunger in the middle on the valve, the output valve, is actually gone bad. There are some small O-rings in here that you can try to replace, but I found that usually once the top end goes bad, you're better off just buying a whole new one and putting it in. Once again, take your handy valve tool to remove the valve, or you can use a flathead screwdriver. These are a little bit harder to find one that's actually wide enough to take these off. Same theory applies here. Go ahead and lube up the O-rings. Add some Teflon tape. Be sure to not block the valve opening. And then some white lithium grease to help seal everything up. And hopefully that'll fix all your problems.